Hey everybody, I thought I'd bring you along on something I've been meaning to do since last year. We have identified previously that we have wild potato vine and also maypops or passion flora on our property. And the problem is when they die back in this jungle, you really can't find them anymore. But right now, or actually probably about 2 weeks ago, would have been the best time for me to come out here and identify them. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to find these vines and trace them back to where they go in the ground. I'm going to place one of these little survey flags. You can find these at any hardware store and they come in a whole bunch of different colors. But I'm going to mark where those vines are going into the ground, and then come autumn, when all the foliage starts to die back, we can actually dig up some of these wild potatoes and see just how good they taste. And we'll be able to dig up some of the roots for the passion flower and be able to plant it where we would actually like to have it, so we can incorporate it and also the wild potato as a part of our garden. So I'm going to start hunting and I'll bring you along with some of that as we go. Of course, the flowers are what really give away these plants, but let me show you something kind of funny here. As I was trying to trace back where these are coming from, this is the leaf of a passion flower, and I haven't seen anything else coming up wild around here that looks like this, so it distinguishes itself pretty well, and it stands out. Now, one that hides a little bit better, this is the leaf of the wild potato vine. They say that it looks a lot like a heart. These poor hearts have been through some trial and tribulation. They're full of holes. But I thought it was kind of neat because here I was trying to trace one vine and came across the other vine holding on to the first one. So it's just interesting. They love to cohabitate, which is something we're going to have to remember when we go to plant these in the future. We just may want to make sure that we try to keep them as a companion plant. Okay, so here's an example of what I'm trying to do. You can't really make anything out in this. Like I say, it's just a jungle of grasses and other wild growing flora. But here you can see I've got my passion flower vine, and there it's going into the ground right there. So I'm just going to take my flag and I'm going to mark it. And this particular vine I am willing to relocate because I know I'm going to want to do some earthworks around here. So I'd rather move this and make use of it somewhere else than lose it. So here's a discovery I wanted to share with you. You can see here just inside view is where we found the passion flower coming out of the ground. And here is the wild potato vine that we were tracing. And I traced this guy all the way down over here, and I thought it was coming out of the ground right here, but it doesn't. It keeps spinning around and around and around and around, and then I got right here, and let me show you what that looks like. Well, do you see what I'm seeing? Now take a minute and just look, because this is an important lesson I really think that we'd all do well to take into account. This looks just like an overgrown mess to you. And that's important because that's the way it looks for the majority of insects as well. It's just an overgrown mess, but it's hiding the goodies. This is why you should companion plant, because it confuses. It's not just what's happening beneath the soil, it's what's happening with the aerial parts of the plant as well. And bugs just coming by, they might see what they're looking for, but you're not going to get a complete devastation like you do with monocropping. So have you seen it yet? The first thing I'll point out to you is what we already looked at before. You can see there's some passion flower leaves coming out over here, and there's some more that are a little more difficult to point out. But what I was tracing was the wild potato vine, and let me show you. It's in here. Do you see it? Look at all of it. Do you see all of these heart-shaped leaves? Look down in here. The ground is just covered with it. Something tells me I'm getting close to the source. This is just like your pumpkin plant. You know, right where you planted the seed, right where the roots are, the main part of the roots anyway, if you didn't get more roots down the line, is where you're going to see the most of your foliage, and then it vines out. And I think we're close to finding the source of this potato vine. So let me get a hold of a vine here and follow it and follow it, and there it is. Let me give you a picture. Okay, so I rotated you a little bit, so just stay with me here. I found a potato vine and just started tracing leaves. Just grabbed a leaf, found where it was attached to, and kept following that vine back, and it splits off from this vine, which splits off from this vine, and comes right back and into the soil right there. And if I look really hard, I can see another shoot coming out there. All of this is potato vine shoot, all of it. I'm going to have a big tuber right in the soil right there. So that's what I'm going to mark. I'm going to mark this right here. I don't want to put it too far in the soil. I don't want to ruin my tuber. But that is where I'll dig in just a few months' time, and I will do my best to bring you back and show you guys what we pulled up. Alright, so that may sound well and good to you. Okay, Jared, you found some wild edibles. You're out there hunting. It looked like fun, but what's the point? Well, 2 years ago I planted potatoes and had the crop entirely destroyed. It was essentially monocropped. I had just a row of potatoes, and one plant by one plant all the way down the row, it just completely got destroyed. This year I tried growing potatoes and I didn't get a single one to come up, but that was my fault. I didn't plant them properly. So I care about the wild potato vine because it's here. I don't have to adapt it to the natural environment. It likes this climate. It likes my soil. All I have to do is put the plant in a place that's beneficial to me, not some place where I intend to do something else with the property. So if I can relocate it, then I can have edible food for my family for a whole lot less effort. I don't have to baby and pamper the plant. It already wants to live here. And if you haven't seen it before, I'll put up a picture for you. There are none in bloom right now, but the flower for the wild potato vine, it's a morning glory, is just beautiful. Now I have to give you a shout out for our good friends in Starkville, Mississippi, up at Sweet Gum Apothecary. The ladies up there have always been helpful to us, and you may remember we had a video of them about a year ago where we showed how they were talking about goldenrod and ways to make tinctures for allergies and such. And they are passionate about passion flower. They love it to death, especially Lindsay. And I'm excited to see that we have fruit. This is the first time I've ever seen fruit on a passion flower here on our property. It's the first time I've ever seen one in person. And passion flower is important for a lot of different medicinal purposes. As I said, our friends up at the apothecary are just in love with it. They love all the different uses that it can have. The fruit itself is edible, but we can use the plant for medicinal purposes, and when you're talking about a 7-member family, medicinal plants are a big thumbs up. So you saw in a previous video I was saving seeds with these little tool bags. One thing you need to keep in mind about passion flower fruit is that the fruit is the place that a particular butterfly lays its eggs. And if you don't protect it, it's going to become habitat for breeding that butterfly. Now I love butterflies, don't get me wrong, but when this is the first fruit I've ever seen, I'm going to bag it and protect it. So look to see that, and we will keep you up to date on how these vines are doing and where we retransplant them to next year. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.